Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is Meir Schneider. Meir Schneider is a world recognized expert in natural vision improvement. You can find out more about Meir Schneider and his wonderful work at the website selfhealing.org. And that the website is www.self-healing.org. Welcome, Meir Schneider.
So nice to be with you again, Catherine. I really enjoyed the last interview and the one before it many years before, and definitely the one right now. And I feel so good because just last week we had a very large conference on cataract, and many people attended it. And before that, there was a huge conference in the Spanish language on natural vision improvement. So it looks like quite a few people are becoming more and more interested in finding natural way worldwide, from the Orient to the Spanish world to the English world. They want to find ways to improve one's vision.
So today we're going to be talking specifically about cataracts, how to prevent cataracts, how to stop the development of cataracts, and how to maintain our eye health after surgery for cataracts. And I have to say, what's interesting is my brother's an ophthalmologist, my dad was an ophthalmologist, my uncle, who's now deceased, was an ophthalmologist. So we want to recognize the medical profession, but at the same time realize that they're very important, profound things that can be done. And Meir Schneider is one of the world leading experts in teaching us how to do this. So Meir Schneider, first of all, what exactly are cataracts?
Well, cataracts is opacity of the lens for different reasons. I was born with it, and in my opinion, I was born with it because my father, it's kind of funny, my father was a deaf photographer, and he was in the Stalin Soviet Union, and he sold pictures of the Trinities to churches. Now, the churches in Stalin Soviet Union had a limit to how many pictures of the Trinity they could have. They could keep what they had, but there's so many they could have every year. And so they went above their quota, and he sold it to them, which could have landed him for 20 years in Siberia. So in order to hide the fact that he sold it to them, he built a laboratory in his small apartment. And I was born into that apartment with a bunch of chemicals that made me a very weak infant, and I nearly died several times. There was one physician who said that if he wouldn't have given me some injection, I probably would have been a dead infant. So what happened is, one of the side effects was that there was probably genetic mutation, and I got cataract. So it was interesting. I was a blind kid of deaf parents. In fact, in Tel Aviv, they were considered to be special deaf parents because they had a blind child. And I had 5 cataract surgeries from the age of 4 to 7. And that's why I have cataract. Now, my 2 kids got cataract because they inherited from me, but I was the anomaly. That's unusual. Only 1 out of 20,000 infants get cataract. Adults is different. The cataract is a result of crystallization of the crystalline protein, which is basically the protein of the lens. There's 2 problems. One is that they become very crowded, and the other one is that the water pump of the cells becomes defective. So they become swollen and crowded. So instead of being transparent, they become really opaque. And then the lens can no longer transmit light to the retina because the lens has two functions. The cornea is what transmits light to the eye, and then it goes to the fluid, which is called the aqueous humor. But then the lens accommodates the light for near and for far and for middle distance by its shape. It becomes more like a magnifying lens from near, and it's more flat when you look at the distance. But what happens to the lens, it becomes opaque. It becomes opaque because of the crowding and crystallization of the protein. It became a proven thing. And by theory, there's also a defect in the water pump of the cells. And this is what's considered to be a regular aging process. But if you believe in that process, then we should return into dying in our 60s. Many people are way beyond that process in many other aspects. For example, they no longer believe that you should get arthritis. So people do stretches. Like I had my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, which is for purchase in our place in Amazon. And there you find a way to not have arthritis. Many people go to yoga classes to not have arthritis. We work on breathing to have healthy lungs. We work on our heart by walking a lot. And so the heart is alive for 30 or 40 years beyond what it used to be alive because we believe in exercises. While doctors in the 60s have basically thought nothing of exercises in terms of helping the body, nothing of diet in terms of helping the body. Every self-respecting cardiologist these days believes in exercises and believes in diet. When it comes into the eyes, and I would like to say that while I appreciate very much the work of ophthalmology, but that's one thing I don't appreciate about them. They don't believe that the eyes can ever get any better on their own. And they absolutely can. And so when it comes into the eyes, basically, doctors don't believe that you can do anything to make them better. And in fact, cataract is preventable, avoidable, and if you have a little bit of cataract, in most cases, you can actually suspend it for 30 or 40 years and not suffer from it a big deal. And I've seen it quite a few times in my case. And what doctors do, they remove the lens and put an implant instead. And it reminds me of what dentists do. But dentists at least tell you to clean your teeth so you can preserve them. But if you don't preserve a tooth, they will extract it and they will give you an implant instead. Now, the implant is not your real tooth, but it does the work. So that's basically what physicians are doing. They remove the lens and they hope that the artificial lens will do the work. But there could be all kinds of problems with it. And I don't believe that anything that is less than your normal lens is a good thing. So now I want to talk to you a lot about how to preserve it.
Now, that's a great explanation. Now, is it true, Meir Schneider, world leading expert in natural vision improvement, that most people in their 70s or 80s have cataracts?
Absolutely. I think that basically around 65% have it. And so we have nearly 2/3 of the people having it. And there are few people who die without cataract. I want you to know that's a possibility, although we're being told at any time we'll get cataract. But few people in the 90s died without it. I've seen that, you know. And by the way, my oldest client was 101. Younger than him was 100 in a few months. And I was able to help him see better in spite of the fact that he had cataract. So that was a wonderful thing for me. In fact, he was about to come to the United States because I met him in Israel. And his cousin just refused to travel with him. And that was a pity because he wanted to have a series of sessions. But the one session I had with him helped him to see way, way better. And he was also a client of Dr. Bates. Met him about 15 years ago. And he was a client of Dr. Bates. He said my session was even better, but I didn't believe that. But what I want to say is that doctors will always tell you, and scientists will tell you, that everybody sooner or later will get cataract. They're wrong. Not everybody gets cataract. And yet most people do. And most people do. And I think, unfortunately, younger and younger these days. You know, I've seen so many people in the 50s with cataracts, and these days even people in the 40s have cataracts, because we do nothing, absolutely nothing, to help the eye. And this is my criticism of ophthalmology, not of your family, because they studied from their professors. But my criticism is of the fathers of ophthalmology and ophthalmology research. They are too comfortable with how things are. They're too comfortable with the fact that if you don't see well, then glasses will help you see well. And they don't think about overcoming the problems that cause you to have glasses in the first place. It's just like you being comfortable with walking with a cane or crutches. If you say, well, it's good enough, then you don't have to do any work to strengthen your legs. And it's the same, they don't believe that anything could be done to prevent cataracts. All they believe is that at a certain point, they have to remove your lens and put an implant. And you know, as I know, that 6% of the people have major problems after that removal. Some people get glaucoma attacks, some people get retinal detachment, some people get bleeding in the retina, and basically they lose part or all of the vision. And then you have 94% success, but then 50% of them become very uncomfortable with time. And unless you work in the correct way, and I would really want to tell you one of my best cases today on that one, and it was just recently, last week. Yeah, unless you work on it in a correct way, basically you can have a lot of problems within 3 to 4 years and 5 years after the surgery. And they do the surgery wrongfully, and I'll explain to you why when you'll ask me. But I would like to say that it is one of the miracles of ophthalmology. I won't take it away from them. A person sees fuzzy. They remove the lens, put a new lens. And you know, in the past, you had to lie in hospital a couple of weeks. Now, within a day, you basically function almost normally. Within 2 or 3 days, you're in business. So in fact, medicine is really good in dealing with cataracts. Just like dentistry got better, you know, but it doesn't really help you not to have it. And there's a way to not have it. There's a way to slow it down. And that's what I want to talk to you about. And that's why I'm so grateful, Catherine, for your interview with me, because I want people to know it. And I only regret that it's not international and not known enough and not millions of people watching our interview. It would have been so much better.
Now, I first heard about the wonderful work of Meir Schneider when I was learning and teaching a system of healing exercises for the eyes called Vision Gym. The Vision Gym is just really simple little exercises, and it's a part of a companion to Brain Gym, which is simple little exercises for your brain. Now, the eyes, as we know, are an extension of the brain. So I first started learning natural vision eye exercises, and that's when I heard about Meir Schneider and his wonderful work. And can you share with us, Meir Schneider, about Dr. Bates, who he was, and a little bit about his work? Because we're all standing on the shoulders of giants here.
Absolutely. So what I want to say about Dr. Bates is he was a heretic. He was different than the rest of the doctors. And he was an ophthalmologist. And that was when ophthalmology was basically formed in a big way in the United States. And he discovered that with eye exercises, you can actually see better. And his theory was that the axis of the eye, that the length of the eye can be changed with the movement of the exterior eye muscles. And for some reason, he thought his theory was the most important thing. Where he was rejected, many ophthalmologists did not accept it, although I do. And so they rejected his theory, and they rejected him altogether, even though he has shown in thousands of cases that people can improve vision. So he thought that even if you remove the lens, by the way, you don't actually need to put an implant, or in that time you didn't need to have cataract glasses because they didn't know about implants. They didn't even know about contact lenses in that time. that you can actually improve the eyes and see better without glasses. And the biggest case related to cataract, he met a person who was 71 and who had some cataracts and was not able anymore to see even the first letter in the eye chart, which is 20% of normal vision, and was not able to read. And that person did an exercise that Dr. Bates invented, although I must tell you that Tibetan yogis did it for 1,500 years. So I guess it was invented in different parts of the world, right? But he didn't know about them. He invented it for himself, where you rub your hands and you put your hands around the eye orbits and you visualize if you're seeing the dark color. The person palmed, the exercise is called palming. Some people call it cupping, but basically it's called palming. He palmed for 20 hours. And then he was able to see the 20/20 line, or we call it in Europe 100% vision, although there are people who see better than that. But he was able to see the 20/20 line and read small print. And it was after palming from 4 in the morning to midnight, which was an unusual case. So, for example, he brought up that case as somebody who was very unusual, who could see better. So medicine had basically tried to legally stop people who practice Bates from practicing. And there was a famous lawsuit with one of his best students, Margaret Corbett. And what ended up happening is that she was cleared, and the juries, all of the juries end up attending her classes. And ever since then, it was very hard to prosecute people who practice natural vision improvement. They even once tried to stop me from legally from teaching a class called Yoga for Your Eyes. And I contacted one of our politicians, and the law changed on them, so they will never be able to do things like that. And they don't anymore. But it's very interesting how the medical profession still are trying to do it. One of my students in Brazil was attacked by the medical profession. The first lawsuit, she was able to stop them. Her good attorney was able to stop them. But I want to say that they're pretty vicious, and they don't want to hear other viewpoints. And they're pretty territorial, and they don't want to hear other viewpoints. And I would love to inform them. But I can tell you that on personal level, some ophthalmologists that I do know are wonderful people, and they refer people to me. So it's not personal. It's just that they learn in a very dogmatic way. You cannot get better. And Bates was ostracized. His license was taken away practically in every state that he was teaching. But his method never died. And right now, we have a Natural Vision Improvement Association, which is a worldwide association. Again, we don't meet thousands of people in our conferences. But we had a conference in Scotland a couple of years ago. Last year, we had it in Germany. And this year, just before the Corona problem, just on February, just before it became very strong and kept people locked in, there was one in Argentina. So apparently all over the world, there's a real renaissance of his work, and it was more than 100 years ago. So nobody can stop something that works for people. And obviously, we wouldn't meet so many of us if it didn't work, at least for some. And in my case, it works for the majority of my clients.
Now, Meir Schneider, can cataracts be prevented? And if so, what do we need to do to prevent cataracts?
Well, I really believe that's the case. For example, I believe arthritis can be prevented if you do a lot of exercises, let's say to mobilize your joints in a soft way, and kinesthetic exercises to bring more space between your bones. Then the cartilage doesn't get damaged. If you don't sit too much, if you don't, and more people know that. Now they have the dogma that sitting is the new smoking, you know. Always they have those big sentences, but for the last 50 years, I was telling people they're sitting too much. They have to stand and stretch. And I'm sure that you would tell people the same thing. Well, same thing is for the eyes. You can't simply decide, I see well, I put my glasses on, I can ignore my eyes. No, you have to work on your myopia. And that's why I'm having a lecture on overcoming myopia. You have to work on your presbyopia.
And for our audience, Meir, can you explain what is myopia and what is presbyopia? So our audience can follow you. Yes.
Thank you. So myopia is nearsightedness. The eyeball becomes long. You don't see well. So the ophthalmologist say, okay, it becomes long. That's how it is. It's just like they tell you, you're stooped, you never be straight. That's not true. I work on almost anyone who was stooped and straightened up with body work and with movement. So if the eyeball becomes long, then the light falls ahead of the retina, and then whatever falls on the retina is not clear. So then it's like a magnifying lens. A magnifying lens, you look through it, you see very well near, but then you see poorly far. So the point is, they say it cannot be stopped, but then you can see that they always need to increase prescription at a certain age, because obviously the myopia gets worse and worse when they put glasses on. And they've tried chickens and they gave them minus prescriptions, and those chickens developed myopia within 3 days, which is very interesting. So glasses actually cause more myopia. So while I want people to wear glasses to drive if they don't see well, I want people to wear glasses to not strain to see, I want them to put the glasses in the pocket all they can and start to improve their vision. And the way they can improve the vision is by relaxing the eyes, adapting to different light amplitude and frequency. So the sun should be comfortable, not something they run away from. On the other end, the night should be comfortable, not something they're afraid of. And I mean night without light. Yeah, the light should be the star, the moon, and even dark nights should be easy for them to see. And I've seen that because I have night walks with many of my classes. The best one was in Singapore once, in the forest, when 150 people were walking between the trees. It was so pitch dark, and it was so amazing to everybody. Within 20 minutes, they saw so much more, because there are cells in the retina called rods that can see. So again, deep relaxation, adaptation to light, looking at details. We stop being curious about details. And it's so important for the eye to have small movements, dinky movement. You don't see them, but it makes the eye look much more alive and look from detail to detail. It's because we have a certain area in the retina called the macula. It's the most important spot, that it's a small part of the retina that only can see a small part. You think you see someone's face, but actually you're seeing a part at a time, and you move from area to area. And then we need to develop distant vision. You and I are right now looking at a screen. I look at a bigger one, you look at a smaller one, but we're both looking at a screen. It is close to us. We're not looking far away. It is so uncomfortable for the eye. The eye needs to look at a distance. For 2 million years, our ancestors were hunters. For 10,000 years, our ancestors were also farmers. But then they didn't have reports about the weather. They looked at it, and they looked at the distance to see enemies. Bedouins in the desert have amazing vision. Maoris have amazing vision. The bush people in Africa have amazing vision. In the Amazon, they have amazing vision. We have poor vision. Even what we call 100% vision, 20/20, is not good vision for those tribes and those people. Why? Because they're looking at the distance, and they're very interested in details they're looking at. And then people need to learn to expand their periphery, because many people have too narrow periphery and they don't pay attention to the periphery. And then people need to learn to create balanced use between the eyes, because if the eyes are not balanced, then they are under a tremendous amount of stress. Also, we need to learn to create balance within each eye, and we need to bring much more blood flow to the visual system. One other thing is, so I said, looking at a distance prevent cataracts. Resting the eyes prevent cataracts. Looking at details prevent cataracts. Wearing glasses leads to more cataracts. And when people have presbyopia, which is farsightedness, it means that in your 40s, your arm is too short. I mean, you have to lengthen it to see anything. We need to do anything we could do to not wear glasses. For example, you can read in strong light. You can read in the sun. when you go to a restaurant, when they'll open them up again, put light with your phone over the menu. But at the same time, do all the exercise I'm talking about, balance use of the eyes, more blood to the visual system. Because if you allow the lens to become rigid and the muscles to become weak, what is going to happen is you get cataracts. And so again, we need to activate the eye. To that, we have to add that we should use less lead in our lighting. This is more and more recent discovery with the visual people. Probably many other people knew it beforehand. Less lead. And everybody knows what a good diet is, basically. We need to have more fruits and vegetables if you can digest them. Some people can't digest them. That's a different story. But if you can digest them, more fruit, more vegetables, not to eat much before we go to sleep, not to eat much when we wake up, but exercise first. All that we must know and not take away blood from the head and the visual system. And if people want to start to work on themselves, let them start with the palming exercise of rubbing the hands, putting the hands around the eye orbits, spending 6 minutes listening to relaxing music, transformational tape, listening to Catherine a little bit because she has wonderful speeches. I'm willing to bet. And relax while putting the hands very gently around the eyes, never bending the head forward, never bringing the head backwards. So to put pillows under the elbows. We also have palming sticks for people. And the Bates Association in England have better palming sticks, but those in America can use our palming sticks, where you can higher and lower the stick like a meditation stick, and you put the elbows in a level that is like the chest level, that does not, that elevates them enough, and never ever put pressure on your cheekbone, never ever tense your neck. And the palming is so helpful because the eyes get tired. People should never work at night. Don't use your computer at night. So many people do it. Don't do it. I am tempted to do it myself, and I should stop doing it. So many people look at their smartphone at night. Wrong. Don't do that. Listen to music, listen to speeches. We have now Audible. Listen to Audible. Do whatever you can do. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, don't turn the light on. Let the eyes rest. So it's very important that your pituitary gland will work well. It's very important there'll be more blood to your lens. And it's so important you give life to your lens. We have a lecture of mine that I gave on cataract the other day. If people will go to our website, they can purchase it. And you can see the movement of the lens. You can see the muscles basically making the lens round like a magnifying lens and allowing it to then be flat. And when it is flat, it affects also the neck. When you look at the distance, your neck is always loose. And the ligament in the neck becomes also completely relaxed. The muscles don't work in contradiction to each other. When you bend the head, you create a lot of pressure on the neck muscles. So you, when you look at a distance, you relax everything. Your eyes can relax your neck. I don't think anyone should just do body work. We should do also vision and auditory therapy to create real balance in the neck. Otherwise, we can't really help the body to be as straight as it could be.
Now, Meir Schneider, you talked about one of the simplest eye exercises, which is palming, where you rub your hands together and place your palms over your eyes. In yoga, we have eye pillows, which are just little bags. Some are scented, some are not scented, but basically usually filled with flaxseed. And we can lie on the ground, lie down using an eye pillow. Is using an eye pillow as equally effective as palming, in your professional opinion?
Catherine, nothing beats your hands.
Nothing beats your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, the electricity from the hands is tremendous. And think about it. If you had an infant that cries and you hold the infant nice and gentle, many times they'll stop crying. And if the infant is relaxed and life bothers you, and you hold the infant and you're nervous, the infant will cry. So if you put your hands, if you're not very upset, if you're upset, don't put your hands around your eyes, please. But think about the eyes like babies. If you first move your arms in rotating motion by interlacing your fingers in both ways, and then you rub your hand, just like I described in my book, Vision for Life and Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. And if you put your hands around your eye orbits very, very, very gently, what's going to happen is the hands will nurture the eyes. No pillow can do that. Yeah, if you have 5 minutes and you don't feel like it, you lie down, you can put the pillow around the eyes. Although I just prefer to put a very light cloth because I don't want anything heavy on the eyes. But the hands are the best thing in the world. You can do it sitting, sometimes lying if you bend your knees and put two pillows underneath your head and 2 pillows on your knees so you can lean with your elbows, because you should never lift your shoulders up. I always tell people your shoulders are not your earrings, right? And you should never, ever put pressure on your cheekbones. But nothing will relax your eyes more than your hands, unless I'll put my hands over your eyes, because I have 50 years experience, and I was able to do all kinds of things like lower people's high pressure by touching their eye and my eye at the same time, and taught parents to do it to kids and taught people to do it to others. There is, to tell you the story, once I had a person with a very enlarged heart, and his heart was beating very, very quickly. And I put my hand over my heart and his and another hand over his heart. And a nurse that was also a student of mine measured our beats. His was 104 per minute, mine was 72, and both of ours became 84 just because I touched his and mine. So yeah, sometimes if you take somebody as experienced in me who touched probably about 20,000 people by now, and worked on people and worked gently on people, then yeah, maybe my touch is a bit better than yours. But except for me, no one's touch is better than yours. And if you will rub your hands and relax and put your hands around the eye orbits, then you will relax your eyes like no pillow can do, like no magnet can do, like nothing else. Your hands are the best tools for you.
Now, what about natural healing remedies such as bilberry?
I believe in it.
Yes.
I believe in it. Yeah, I believe in bilberry. I also believe in all berries, actually, in strawberries and raspberries, blackberries. Any antioxidant is good. But you know what's better than anything else in the world? Loose neck and better blood flow to the head. Why? Why are the free radicals remaining in your lens and everywhere else? Because you don't have enough blood to wash them away. Free radicals are not a bad things. Oxidation happens because of cell metabolism. You know, when the oxygen basically combines with glucose to bring ATP, well, it releases radicals. But when you have a good blood flow, you don't even know it because the blood flow just takes it away and you secrete it. But when the blood flow is not that good, and that's again why I'm saying to people, walk more. By the way, they're also wonderful exercise for the immune system. If we were to talk about blood flow, because white blood cells and lymph are part of the circulatory system, right? But if you walk a lot, tap on your chest a lot, massage yourself a lot, and do wonderful movements with yourself. For example, everybody, before you go to sleep, massage yourself for 4 or 5 minutes. Every part of your body. You can even massage one leg with another leg. Then you will not even need anything, although I would say eat berries, and definitely all simple remedies are very, very good for you. But remember again, function leads to structure. How you will function with your eye and not allow it. You see, for example, Catherine, I'm not saying get rid of your glasses. I would like you to. I would like to work with you, but I'm not working against your glasses. I want you to get a healthy vision, even see better through your glasses. And that means exercise, put them in your pocket all you can, and work on your eyes. And eventually it would mean that you will see a bit better. That is getting away from cataract. I'm not asking you to be a yogi and to put your legs behind your head. But if you become a bit more flexible, that's the way away from osteoarthritis. I'm not asking you to be in your 80s what you were in your 20s. But if you work on relaxation exercises, you won't be agitated, you won't be nervous. And if you work on special nervous system exercise with coordination, you will not suffer from all kinds of illnesses which are a result of rigidity and lack of coordination. If you work on your nearsightedness and farsightedness with the correct eye exercises, you will either postpone cataract, delay its development, or not have it. And if you did have it, that's the time to work. Because as I said, doctors do something very wrong. And I'll tell you what they do that is wrong. They put often one lens that adjusts you to the distance. Now, let me again praise medicine. In the past, until the early 70s of last century, they used to give people cataract glasses. Then they gave them contact lenses, and very quickly they gave them implant towards the end of the 70s. And what's wonderful, the body does not reject the implant, even though it's inside the eye. And however, to make people, to tell people that it's all convenient, they make one eye drive and one eye read, which is the worst thing they can do. For some reason, people in medical school learned how important homeostasis is, that there will be balance in the body. The most important thing to have balance is in our senses. You don't want one ear much weaker than the other. Anytime somebody has an ear which is weaker than the other, say, plug that ear in for about an hour a day, listen with the one which is weaker, okay? Same thing with the eyes. I give people an exercise where they cover one eye and look with the weaker eye. It gives them a relief like I cannot describe, 10 minutes at a time. So balancing the use of the two eyes is also good. Sometimes I tell people to put a paper between the eyes, put masking tape, and then throw the ball from hand to hand, so they will create more balance between the two eyes. So balancing the use of the eyes is so important. And that lack of balance, if any audience would want, stand up on one leg, breathe deeply, and see how long you can stand. A year, 2 years, 3 years. You can see that just by standing it for half a minute, you can see that the body likes it when the two hands are on the floor, two legs on the floor, rather than one leg on the floor, right? Same thing with the eyes. You don't want one eye to overwork and the other eye to underwork from any distance. So when the doctors give you one eye from distance, one eye from near, they're asking for troubles. But because they don't check them, basically, they look at them separately. Oh, now you have glaucoma. Sorry. Now you have retinal detachment. Sorry. Let's fix this. Let's fix that. Let's fix this and fix that. It's just like a dog running, trying to catch its tail. There's no end to the kind of symptoms you're going to have and develop because of the imbalance in your body. And so what I think the mistake is the bundled approach. Cataract, let's remove it. Glaucoma, let's put drops. The drops don't work, let's do laser. The laser doesn't work, let's do a surgery. Retinal detachment, let's fix it. One after the other after the other. Now, while I'm in total awe and gratefulness to medicine, that is the wrong philosophy. The first philosophy is do all you can to not lose your lens.
Now, so many of us, Meir Schneider, as you know, spend hours and hours a day on the computer. I know I do. I started wearing glasses when I started writing books again in my 50s, right? All the hours in front of the computer. If someone wants to prevent cataracts, is there sort of a guideline about how a limit to the amount of time we should spend on our computers and our smartphones every day?
To begin with, I would suggest that you hide your smartphone from yourself. I always like to forget it somewhere. I mean, somewhere that I remember, like forget it at home, forget it in my office, take a walk without it, do whatever I can do to not have anything to do with it, okay? The radiation is also not the best thing in the world, right? The other thing is, look at the distance for 10 minutes before you use your computer.
Mm.
And sometimes you can also put a small paper in front of your strong eye at distance, wave your hand to the side, and look at the distance with your weaker eye. So you can stick a small piece of paper on the bridge of your nose, and I do it a lot with my clients, stick a small piece of paper at the bridge of the nose and look far away the distance with the weaker eye, and look at 15, 20 different points, so you look at 15 of 20 different points at the distance, at a little bit nearer, and just let the lens remain flat. Then go and use the computer, but every 15 minutes, look for 10 seconds away. And every hour, sit down and palm for 6 minutes. You do that and you take care of your eyes. Look, there's nothing we can do about the fact that we sit a lot. We don't want, it's not good for the back, definitely. But if you are conscious of that, stand up many times, stretch, hold your leg and stretch it backwards. So you will give a nice stretch to the front of the thigh and to the lower abdomen. Don't just stoop, okay? That's important for the back. By the way, it's also important for the ears and the eyes and the brain. But before you use the computer, look at the distance, and then every so on, like every 2 or 3 hours, look at the distance. Again, Catherine, don't look at it at night. I know it's the best time. Everybody is asleep. In your case, including the dog, right? Everybody is asleep. But this is exactly the time to not do it. And I have to remind myself the same thing. It's the time to not do it. It's the time to relax. So I agree with you 100% that the computer is responsible for many problems. Some things that we need to do sometimes is to wave our hands to the side to know that there is periphery, that there are walls, that there's ceiling, floor. You're not walking, I love to walk in the Golden Gate Park, which is in San Francisco, because I love to look at trees. They make you look up, they make you look down. And it's so much nicer when people live in the jungle and they have birds and they have animals that they can always follow with their eyes. And here, it's nice to look at the Pacific Ocean in many different locations. And so what I want to say is find a nice view every day that you look at. That's a wonderful cataract prevention for you.
Now, why is it so important to avoid looking at our smartphone or computer in the evening after dark?
Because the eyes need to rest then. The eyes must rest. The pituitary gland wants you to rest. The pituitary gland wants you to be in the dark, wants you to sleep. It doesn't want you to look at a concentrated thing. While in the daytime, yes, we're built so we look at the daytime at details, but we're not built to look at nighttime at details. So you basically are affecting the melatonin secretion, but you also, the pituitary gland destroys free radicals, and you need the rest at night to do that. The day is for activity, the night is for rest.
That's a great answer. And are there any specific, you mentioned specific eye exercises to do if we are looking at the computer. Are there, in addition to palming, are there any specific eye exercises that you recommend for people who are trying to prevent cataracts?
Right. So for example, you're talking about the computer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So for example, putting the small piece of paper on your strong eye from near this time, because the computer is near. Waving the hand to the side as you read the computer with the weaker eye. Taking it off, waving your hands to the side and sensing the side. And sometimes putting a piece of paper between the eyes, okay, and using a masking tape to put it between the eyes. And then when you use that masking tape to put between the eyes, then to wave the hands to the side and rest from central vision, but to have nice peripheral vision. And then you take the paper off, and then you see that the eyes are really rested, because one of the things happens quite often, we look centrally, and before you know, there is no ceiling, there is no floor, There's no wall. But again, also remember the kind of radiation you have. And as much as we can work to have less lead in our light, the better it is.
And final question, where can people go to learn more of the eye exercises that they can do? I know, again, I mentioned Vision Gym. People can also look up the Bates exercises, but where would you recommend people go to learn eye exercises?
I see people individually on Zoom. I also made very nice webinars, and we have many of them. The latest one was self-healing through movement and natural vision improvement. So they can definitely download them and work with them. And I appear in many workshops and seminars, and they can definitely listen to me. But what I want to say is that whenever the lockout will go away and whenever we'll meet each other, I would love to see people in my training courses. You know, in my 6-day eye class, 92% of the people see better at the end of the class. And people come to me from everywhere in the world. I remember going to Frankfurt. I had 34 students, 6 from Frankfurt and the rest from the rest of Europe. I went to Israel. I even had somebody who came to me from Canada and from the whole country, and somebody was trying to come from India. Here, I had people from Germany, but from all the other states. So what we want is people from everywhere in the world. I know that I even, some people came to me from Singapore, plus I'm traveling a lot. So when it will open again, I'll also travel a lot. So I definitely want to work with you individually, but if I can't, then work with my videos, get my book Vision for Life, get my book Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, Movement for Self-Healing. We have wonderful books with which you can read and work, but the main thing is work with the videos. The one thing I would like you to do is learn the exercises and then turn the sound on and the picture off. So the screen will be dark and you can palm and you can do other exercise, just hearing my voice guiding you.
You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. Our guest today has been world leading expert in natural vision improvement, Meir Schneider. You can find out more about Meir Schneider and his wonderful work at self-healing.org. And remember, when you take the time to take care of your eyes and rest your eyes and eat a high antioxidant diet, high in anthocyanins in those purple, blue, and red berries, you can keep your eyes healthy as you age. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Okay, great interview. Thank you so much.
I always love to talk to your wonderful lady. By the way, are you older than 50?
I'm 61.
Give me your your ID and birth certificate, please.
Oh yeah,
You look,
61.
you look like you're lying. You should be in your 40s.
Oh no, I'm 61. I have the gray hair. It's all real. I have this is my hair. So I got the gray hair to prove it right in here.
Yeah, you really have to prove it because you look much better.
Oh, well, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Okay, well, it's nice to, maybe one day when the coronavirus ends, I'll come out and study with you. That would be fun. Okay?
I'm sure you'll be a model student. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye, bye.